Hey guys, tonight we dive into something that starts off quiet, almost too quiet. A doorbell, just one chime, soft, hollow, like it traveled a long way to get to you. But here's the thing, it always rings at 3:33 a.m. Always. Never a minute off. You don't even have a working doorbell. You probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, post your location and local time in the comments. I want to know who else is listening in the dark with us right now. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You trudge up the cracked stone steps, keys jangling in one hand, grocery bag swinging in the other. The real estate agent had called it a cozy historical gem with vintage charm, which in real estate terms roughly translates to dust drafts and suspicious smells. The porch light flickers as you pass under it. Naturally, the house isn't huge, just one of those narrow two-stories with a sagging roofline and windows that seem to frown a little. You moved in mostly because the rent was absurdly low for the area, and because, let's be honest, you have a thing for places with character. The first few nights are uneventful, though you can't shake the feeling the hallway is a bit longer at night, that the floorboards upstairs creak even when no one's walking. And then, 3 nights in it starts, a doorbell. Not an annoying modern ding-dong, but a single antique chime. Elegant, subtle, bone-deep. Like the last note of a grandfather clock that never fully fades. You sit up in bed, check your phone. 3:33 a.m. Dead center? Not 3:32, not 3:34. You shuffle to the front door, unsure if you're still dreaming. There's nothing out there, no breeze, no sound, no movement. The porch light, which had flickered on entry, is now completely out. You try the doorbell button just to check. It's not even connected to wires, just a brass circle screwed into the wooden frame like a museum piece. You tell yourself it's probably the house settling. That's a thing people say, right? Houses settle. They moan and pop and creak. But the next night it happens again, and the next, always at 3:33 a.m. By night 5, you're not sleeping well. You wake up an hour early, just waiting for it. The moment your phone hits 3:32, your breathing tightens. You stare at the ceiling counting. 3, 2, 1 chime. Your dog, yes. We forgot to mention the dog, but don't worry. He's about as helpful as a couch cushion, lifts his head and growls. Just once. Then curls back into a silent pretzel. Eventually you mention it to your coworker. She jokes that maybe the place is haunted. Maybe it's one of those haunted numbers like 666. She laughs. Isn't 3:33 supposed to be like half evil? Actually, yes. 3:33 a.m. is often dubbed the Devil's Hour, a pop culture offshoot of 3 a.m. being considered a mockery of the Holy Trinity, because sure, nothing helps a sleepless mind like spooky trivia from the internet. Historians still argue whether this association comes from pre-Christian beliefs about the spiritual veil being thinnest at that time, or if it's mostly a Hollywood invention. You try to ignore it. Honestly, you do. You buy a white noise machine, drink chamomile tea, stop watching YouTube past midnight, except this video, obviously. But the chime always comes. And here's the part that sticks with you. You never hear it coming. It's not like footsteps on a porch or the ring of a normal bell. It feels like it's already happened the moment it begins. By night 10, you're standing in the front hallway, fully awake, waiting. You even set up your phone to record. The video catches something. Not a sound, but a flicker of light, like a reflection of a flame. except there's no candle, no fire, nothing reflective. And then the camera battery dies? Because of course it does. You go back to bed a little cold, a little annoyed, and very much aware that something is not quite right about this house. The chime doesn't scare you yet. It confuses you. But confusion is how fear puts on its shoes. Remember that weird sunscreen made of crocodile dung the Egyptians used? Yeah, this feels like that. Strange, old, uncomfortable, probably cursed. And the best part, the landlord forgot to mention the house's last tenant. You find her mail still stuffed behind the furnace 3 weeks later. Her name was Clara M. Vincent. No forwarding address, no change of address form, no record of her ever leaving. You try to forget that detail. But as you crawl into bed, your dog now refusing to sleep near the door, you whisper to yourself, "It's probably nothing, right?" You wake up groggier than usual the next morning. You've started sleeping in shifts like a ship captain, guarding against invisible pirates. Except your pirates wear no boots, make no sound, just that haunting chime that doesn't belong to anything made after 1920. You brew some coffee that tastes like regret and damp cardboard and decide, all right, maybe it's time to stop Googling. Why does my haunted doorbell ring at 3:33 a.m. and actually look into the house's history? You start where every good millennial ghost detective does your phone. Property Records City archives a Facebook group for local lore. You expect it'll turn up the usual a widow, a tax lien, maybe a mildly tragic plumbing incident. But this house is a little more ambitious. You find a newspaper clipping from 1911. Tragic fire ravages boarding home on Clover Street. 5 unaccounted for. Your address, Clover Street. Your house. The same narrow slouching frame in the photo. Different porch railing, but unmistakable. The article is maddeningly vague. No confirmed deaths, no follow-up stories. And it casually mentions that the fire started in the attic stairwell, which is curious, because you guessed it, your attic door won't open. You run your fingers along the frame that night. No lock, no latch, just sealed. Like it was never meant to be opened again. The kind of thing a bored carpenter would do if they were paid in whiskey and ominous silences. You call the realtor. Ask if she knew anything about the fire. Her voice catches slightly, then she offers to send the original blueprints for renovation purposes. The blueprints arrive in a battered tube, and when you unroll them, they smell like a church pew left out in the rain. The attic is there, clear as day. A spiral staircase right where your upstairs hallway wall now sits. Walled up, hidden. And here's the best part. Beside the attic label, in careful faded cursive, are the words that do not disturb, let them rest. You rub your eyes thinking it might be ink bleed or wishful dread. But it's there, undeniable. As real as the unpaid electric bill on your fridge. You start noticing more oddities. Your phone charging cable keeps unplugging itself at night. A chair shifts slightly every morning. Once your toothbrush was dry, as a bone even though you just used it. Historians still argue whether boarding homes in the early 1900s were safe havens for the displaced or unofficial dumping grounds for the unwanted. Some were perfectly legitimate. Others, well, let's just say unregulated, was doing a lot of heavy lifting. You begin to feel like your house is less lived in and more temporarily tolerated. As if you're not alone, but merely taking a shift. You check the wall again for seams. It's solid drywall, but you knock anyway. Hollow, you knock lower. Hollow again. Something is behind it, something that once led somewhere. The dog refuses to follow you upstairs now. He sits at the bottom step and stares, ears twitching when 3 a.m. rolls around. You decide to ask the neighbors. The old woman next door smiles too widely and says, "Oh, you're in that house. Hope the roof holds." And then immediately offers you pie, which is somehow more unsettling. The teenage kid across the street just laughs. Your doorbell. Yeah, don't answer it. Then he puts on his headphones and walks away. But the real jackpot is the man 3 houses down, George. Late 70s still cuts his own lawn drinks tea on his porch like it's 1955. You wave and ask if he's lived here long. He nods. 50 years. You mention the fire. His expression dims like someone just covered the sun with a tarp. That house, he says slowly, used to belong to a man named Elijah. Took in boarders, quiet man. The type who always paid early. He stares out across the street for a long time, then mutters, "Don't go into the attic." You ask if he means the one that doesn't open. His eyes snap to yours, exactly that one. Apparently after the fire they found the main floor untouched, but the attic burned from the inside. No cause ever determined. No insurance payout either. The fire department sealed it and never came back. There's something about the way he says it, so calm, so final, that makes your spine consider a career in interpretive dance. He says one more thing before retreating inside. If you hear a second chime, leave. You walk home slower than usual. That night the doorbell rings, just once. Same sound, same time. You don't answer, but you swear the air smells faintly of smoke. You're halfway through your cereal the next morning when it hits you. Smoke. It's not there anymore, not really, but the memory of it clings to the curtains like an old song you can't quite name. Your dog whines once and refuses to go near the front door. Again, you decide it's time to dig deeper. If you can't trust your ears, maybe the paper trail has a better sense of honesty. You head down to the county library, a place that still smells like book glue dust and air that hasn't been updated since the Eisenhower administration. The librarian, a quiet woman with cat-shaped earrings, and a memory like a steel trap perks up when you mention the address. She types something into the ancient computer and raises an eyebrow. Ah, that house. That's never a good start. She prints 3 articles and hands them to you. One is the 1911 fire. Again, another is from 1936. Man found dead on porch. No signs of forced entry. Clock stopped at 3:33 a.m. And then there's the third, 1978. Local teen disappears near abandoned house. Last seen walking dog at 3:30 a.m. That's 3 documented events, all decades apart, all tied to the same place. And everyone mentions 3:33 a.m. You take the articles, your coffee, and your steadily eroding sense of peace back home. You tape them to the wall, like some budget detective in a low-budget Netflix series. You decide to talk to more neighbors, get the real story. But you're quickly met with deflection and polite smiles that feel like Band-Aids hiding bullet wounds. Except one guy, middle-aged, red flannel, and the kind of face that looks like it used to get into bar fights for fun. He leans in, voice low, and says, "That place used to make people disappear. Not like poof gone, but like changed. I knew a girl who lived there back in the 80s. Real normal, friendly." Then she started talking about the woman in the attic window. You freeze. He nods slowly, like he already knows. "Yeah, you've seen her too, haven't you? You haven't told anyone about the attic window, not even your phone, not even your dog. But you have seen her. It happened 2 nights ago. Just a flash. You were brushing your teeth and glanced up at the top floor window. The attic. A silhouette, pale, still, watching. You turned back to the mirror, heart racing, and when you looked again, she was gone. You told yourself it was the moonlight, a curtain, the kind of lie that tastes like copper and gets caught behind your teeth. But hearing this man, this complete stranger, mention the exact same thing confirms what your logical brain has been desperately trying to undo. She's real. Whoever or whatever is in that attic window is not a leftover dream fragment. You thank him, retreat home, and this time you don't sleep. You set up motion lights, a baby monitor, 3 phone cameras, and the dog who now hides under the bed like a Wi-Fi router with anxiety. 3:33 a.m. comes, the chime rings, and this time the window upstairs creaks open. You don't know how it's sealed from the outside, painted shut like a wartime bunker, but it opens, just slightly. You freeze, cameras rolling, phone in hand. You climb the stairs like you're trespassing in your own home. The hallway is colder than it should be. Not spooky metaphor, cold, actual HVAC defying, goosebump inducing cold. You see your breath. Indoors. And then you hear it, a creak from the attic, just one, like a footstep taken reluctantly. The attic door still doesn't open, but something behind it whispers, just once. Not in words, but in the kind of sigh you hear from someone who hasn't slept in a very long time. Historians still argue whether spiritual encounters are real or the result of shared cultural archetypes and heightened nighttime cortisol levels. Honestly, doesn't matter, because there is something upstairs that doesn't care what historians think. You go back down too wired to sleep, but too afraid to stay standing. The dog is gone. Turns out he wedged himself into the bathtub somehow. Smart dog. That night you stay in the living room, lights on, door locked, but in the reflection of the turned-off TV, you swear you see someone walk past behind you. You spin around, nothing. Then you check your phone footage from earlier. The attic window doesn't just open, it breathes. The next morning, you sit on the porch with a lukewarm cup of coffee and the facial expression of someone who's been ghosted by an actual ghost. Your dog refuses to come outside. Smart dog. You can't keep pretending this is just a coincidence. The chime, the attic, the figure, the sigh, the creeping suspicion that your home is less vintage chic and more paranormal Airbnb. So you do what any normal person with no survival instincts would do. You climb the attic stairs, or at least you try. You grab a crowbar, some gloves, and a flashlight. Because nothing says rational problem solving like home renovation during a supernatural crisis. The attic door's frame is sealed tighter than your high school diary. But after an hour of prying, swearing under your breath, and nearly smashing your thumb twice, you hear a pop. The door creaks open slowly, releasing a draft so cold it makes your nostrils burn. The smell is old, like moldy hymnals and forgotten corners of a nursing home. You lift your flashlight. The staircase is narrow and steep, the kind you climb sideways if you value your kneecaps. The dog whimpers from downstairs. You give him a thumbs up, he absolutely does not return. You make it to the top. The attic is dim, coated in layers of dust, thick enough to classify as insulation. Furniture is draped in yellowed sheets. Cobwebs stretch like lazy hammocks across rafters. But the most unsettling part, it's warm. Not hot, not humid, just strangely lived in. You find the source of the warmth, a corner by the window. And right there, tucked behind a dusty trunk, is an old wooden chair facing out. Like someone's been sitting there, watching, waiting. Next to the chair, you spot a chest. A real iron-clasped pirate meets pioneer-style chest. Your heart does that annoying fast thump thing it does when your instincts scream bad idea but your curiosity is already halfway through the lid. Inside are journals, maybe 10, maybe more, each bound in cracked leather, the pages yellowed, but still legible. You open one. March 3rd, 1911. I heard the bell again. It's a young girl's handwriting, loopy precise, a little uneven, like she was learning cursive from someone who never smiled. You skim through pages. The attic woman is angry tonight. Mother says not to answer the chime, but she always listens. Last night she called my name. I didn't answer. I won't. You sit back, heart hammering, mouth dry. Who was she? What did she see? And why is the handwriting in the final entries so shaky? You flip to the last page of the final journal. I don't think she'll let us leave. Not really. But if you're reading this, maybe you're still alive. Maybe she's choosing you now. You close the journal carefully. The moment you do, the attic window clicks open. Not creaks, not groans. Clicks. Like it wanted to be noticed. You shine the flashlight toward it. The curtains flutter through the air is still. And there pressed against the outside glass is a faint outline of a face. Pale, long-haired. Eyes like smudges. And she's not looking out. She's looking in. Historians still argue whether spiritual manifestations can be location-bound or attached to objects. Some say it's trauma, seared into a place. Others argue it's the people themselves. Like a lighthouse attracting certain kinds of energy. You don't care which theory is right. You just know one thing now. You are not alone in this house. You back down the attic steps, chest in hand, trying not to breathe too loudly. When you reach the hallway, the air feels different, pressurized, like the house is holding its breath. That night, the chime rings again. 3:33 a.m. You don't answer. But when you wake up, the attic door is wide open, and someone has drawn a circle in ash on your bedroom floor. You stare at the circle on your bedroom floor for a long time. It's not large, maybe the size of a hula hoop, but its shape is too precise to be accidental. Even the ash feels intentional, not smeared or messy, but poured in a clean, deliberate ring. You don't touch it. You don't even move closer. You just stand there with your brain quietly spiraling like a confused loading screen. You consider calling the police, but what do you even say? Hiya, someone broke into my house, opened a sealed attic, rang a ghost bell, and drew occult shapes on my hardwood. Please send backup, and maybe an exorcist. Yeah, that'll go well. Instead, you take photos, lots of them. You upload them to a paranormal form under a fake name because anonymity is the only thing standing between you and a restraining order. Replies start trickling in within the hour. Most are useless blurry emojis, jokes about demons needing better ashtrays. But one comment stands out. Check the guest book. That's it. No context, no explanation, just 4 words. But they burrow under your skin like a splinter. A guest book. You start scouring the attic again. Nothing. Then you check the bedroom. Nothing. You spend hours tapping the walls, lifting floorboards, emptying drawers. Finally, you find it, tucked inside the hollow part of the wall behind your bathroom mirror. Because, of course, it's behind the bathroom mirror is a leather-bound ledger with brass corners and brittle pages. It's labeled in careful calligraphy. Vincent Boarding Registry. Vincent, as in Clara M. Vincent. The last tenant whose mail you found. The name carved into one of the attic rafters. You flip through the entries. Each page is a record of a new boarder. Names, arrival dates, occupations, room numbers. Most dates are from 1904 to 1911. But near the back, the dates jump 1936, 1958, 1978, 1992, 2011. And the names, you Google them, everyone leads to a missing person case. Different cities, different decades, Same vanishing act. Historians still argue whether hauntings are the result of lingering consciousness or just environmental energy imprints. Some believe ghosts are echoes, nothing more than spectral reruns stuck on loop. But your house feels like it's curating. You flip to the final page. There in uneven handwriting is a fresh entry, your name, written in ink that hasn't fully dried. You don't remember writing it. You certainly didn't authorize it. And yet there it is, mocking you in your own handwriting. Below it, a time, 3:33 a.m. You slam the book shut, heart galloping, sweat prickling behind your ears. The dog growls low from the hallway. He's staring at something behind you. You don't turn around. You walk out carefully, like you're stepping around landmines. You go downstairs, lock yourself in the bathroom, and sit on the floor. And that's when the doorbell chimes. One soft note, followed by another. 2. This is new. George, the neighbor, had warned you. If you hear a second chime, leave. You glance at the bathroom mirror. It's fogging up, even though you haven't run any hot water. Then a third chime. 3 in total. You grab your keys, your dog, your shoes, your panic, and bolt. But when you open the front door, everything stops. The air is still. The street is empty, not even crickets. You walk outside, slowly, and then you see it. Your name, carved into the wood above the doorway, so faint it's almost invisible. And below it, a date, tomorrow's. You don't sleep that night. You don't even pretend to. You sit in the kitchen with every light on your dog, curled under the table like a soggy loaf of bread. Every sound becomes suspicious. Every shadow gets a second glance. Around 2:30 a.m., you hear footsteps upstairs. Slow, measured. You grab a kitchen knife, fully aware that it won't help against a ghost. But hey, desperate times. You climb the stairs one at a time, flashlight trembling in your free hand. The attic door is ajar, open just a few inches like it's been waiting for you. Inside, the chair is rocking, by itself, and on it, resting gently in the moonlight, is a fresh journal. You don't want to look, but you do. On the first page, in a hand that isn't yours, is one line. It's your turn now. The phrase, "it's your turn now," echoes in your head like a bad jingle you can't shake. Except instead of selling toothpaste, it's selling pure existential dread. You back away from the attic journal, still clutched in your hand. The chair stops rocking, just like that, like it knows it got your attention. Downstairs, the dog lets out a bark that sounds less like "I heard something" and more like "I warned you, and now we're all going to die." You lock the attic door. Not that it matters. You could weld it shut with molten steel and duct tape, and that ghost would still probably just pass through like a breeze with opinions. You sit on the couch, journal open across your lap. The first few pages are blank. The next, not so much. The handwriting isn't yours, but the entries there about you. What you've seen, what you've heard, even what you thought but never said aloud. Your late-night paranoia, the moment you considered breaking your lease, the time you searched how to bless a rental without violating your deposit. It's all in there. Then a new entry writes itself, right in front of you. You'll stay until 3:33. Then you'll understand. It's not a question. It's not a request. It's a statement. You slam the book shut so hard the dog jumps. You need to know where this thing comes from. The chime, the bell, the woman, all of it. Something this specific doesn't happen by accident. It's like the house is following instructions. You go back to your digital deep dive. Ghost forms, local legends, obscure history sites with 90s fonts, and autoplay MIDI music. And they're buried on page 12 of a forum post titled "The Chime Cult of Caldwell County." You find it. a mention of ritual timekeeping. In the 1800s, a small sect of spiritualists in your region believed that 3:33 a.m. marked a window between dimensions, an unshielded minute, they called it. They built devices to capture energy at that precise time. Devices like bells. Historians still argue whether these spiritualist practices were elaborate cons or genuine attempts at interdimensional contact. One scholar insists they were just rich Victorians playing seance dress-up. Another believes they stumbled onto something real and terrifying. You follow a reference trail that leads you to an obscure digitized book called Soul Anchors and the Unseen Bell. It describes old monastery bells, used not to call the faithful, but to bind spirits. The bells were always cast with specific alloys, always rung at 3:33 a.m., and always placed in buildings where death had occurred. Your doorbell. You unscrew it from the wall that night. It's heavy, too heavy. Not a normal chime button, but an actual bell pull wired into nothing. You turn it over and find a tiny engraving, AV. You check the guest book again, Anna Vincent. Different first name, same last. You run her name through historical records. She was the daughter of the original homeowner. Died in the attic during the fire. She was 14. Her obituary says the fire was a tragic accident. A candle, a book, sleep. But a court document filed just weeks later says something else. Her mother, Clara Vincent, was charged with attempted spiritual preservation. Not arson, not murder, but preservation, like she tried to keep Anna here, not alive, just here. You sit in your kitchen for hours flipping through the journal, your mind tying knots around itself. The chime, the ledger, the names, the timing, it's all ritual. Repeated, maintained. Like a cosmic subscription you never signed up for. Then your phone buzzes. No number, just a text. 3:33 tonight, don't resist. You drop it. The screen cracks, which honestly feels like the least of your problems. Your dog now follows you everywhere, even to the bathroom. You're both tense like roommates after an argument neither wants to bring up. That night you don't wait for the chime. You sit in the hallway at 3:32 a.m. flashlight, off journal in hand. The house is silent. Then precisely at 3:33, the bell doesn't ring. Instead, your front door opens. Just a few inches. Enough for the cold air to pour in. Enough for you to see the shadow. She's standing on the porch. Not transparent, not glowing, just there. Hair long and wet. Eyes empty. Skin gray-blue like it forgot how to blush. She lifts her hand, points upward, then disappears. You close the door slowly. Click the lock. Turn around, and find the ash circle has moved. Now it's at the base of the attic stairs, waiting. The ash circle sits at the foot of the attic stairs like punctuation and unspoken next in powdered charcoal. You stare at it for a long time, trying to decode whether it's a warning, a trap, or an invitation. The dog won't go near it, won't even look at it. He backs into the kitchen and hides beneath the table again, occasionally letting out that low nasal whine that dogs use when they've decided you're about to do something stupid. You're inclined to agree with him, but the damage is done. You've read the journal. You've entered the attic. You've acknowledged her. Now she's opened the door, stood at your threshold, and pointed up. It feels like some grim etiquette. She rang. You ignored. Now she knocked. You saw. What's next, tea and seance? You open the attic again, stepping over the ash ring like it's not there. It crackles slightly underfoot, strange for powder, almost like static. You climb the stairs again. This time it's different. The air is warmer, not uncomfortably so, but charged. The attic doesn't feel dusty anymore. It smells faintly of lavender and burnt hair, not the best combo. The chair is gone. Instead, where it once sat is a circle of journals, all open, pages fluttering slowly, despite the air being still. And in the center of them is something new, an object wrapped in oilcloth. You unwrap it carefully, half expecting a cursed Fabergé egg or some cursed antique doll. Instead, it's a brass handbell, old, heavy, with the same AV engraving at the base. You lift it. It's ice cold like it's been buried in snow. You set it back down. One of the journals flutters shut on its own. Another flips pages rapidly, then stops. You glance down. The open page reads, "Don't ring it unless you're ready to leave." Historians still argue whether objects can serve as conduits or storage vessels for consciousness. Some argue it's metaphoric, others point to consistent anecdotal cases, bells, mirrors, clocks, that retain a strange pull over time. You sit cross-legged among the journals like a guest at a very dusty book club. Your fingers brush one open, and you begin to read. It's not written by Anna, it's by her mother, Clara Vincent. Her entries are fragmented, desperate, obsessed with time, with holding onto moments. She speaks of Anna as though she never died. She speaks to me through the bell. The chime is her breath. They tried to take her away. I won't let them. If they forget her, she'll be gone. So I built this hour. I kept it safe. The last entry is especially chilling. She's not alone now. Others come to her. They stay. They ring the bell. And they understand. I hope you understand. You don't want to understand. Not really. But then something clicks behind you. You turn. The attic window has closed, and written in the foggy glass from the inside are 3 numbers. 333. You stand. The bell on the floor seems to hum faintly, like it's alive. You pick it up. This time it's warm. You take a deep breath. You ring it. Just once. And suddenly, the attic isn't the attic anymore. You're in the same space, the same dimensions. But it's younger. The walls are cleaner. The light is golden. There's a bed in the corner, a mirror, a bookshelf. And in the mirror, standing behind you, is Anna. Not burned, not monstrous. Just a girl. She smiles faintly. A tragic smile. The kind of smile that makes your eyes sting for reasons you don't quite understand. She doesn't speak. She just walks to the bookshelf and places her hand on it. You do the same, and then you're back. The journals are gone. The chair is gone. The bell is gone. But now on the attic floor is a new journal. Blank, except for the first page. It's your turn now. The same phrase as before, but the ink is fresher. Your dog begins barking downstairs. Short, sharp, terrified yelps. You rush down, heart racing. The front door is wide open, and standing in the yard, looking up at the house, is a man. He's staring directly at the attic. You call out. He doesn't answer. Instead, he walks up to the porch, lifts his hand, presses the doorbell. Chime. 3:33 a.m. You check your phone. It's not your phone anymore. The wallpaper is different. The apps are gone. It's someone else's phone. You rush to the bathroom, look in the mirror, and you realize you're not you anymore. You grip the sides of the sink. The porcelain feels real cold, smooth beneath your trembling fingers. But your reflection that is not real. It can't be. The face looking back at you isn't yours. Not entirely. It's close. Close enough that someone passing you on the street wouldn't notice. But you notice. The eyes are the wrong shape. The jaw is just a little too narrow. And there's a scar above the left eyebrow you've never had. You stagger back your breath, catching in your throat like a hiccup made of dread. Your phone buzzes again on the counter. Unknown number, do not leave the house. You don't have time to argue with text messages from interdimensional landlords. You grab your coat whistle for the dog and march straight toward the front door. But it won't open. The knob turns, the hinges creak, but the door stays still. You throw your weight against it. Nothing. Even the windows won't budge. You try the kitchen door, the basement, every single one is locked from the inside. The house won't let you go. You slump down on the floor, defeated, as your dog curls up beside you, tail tucked and ears down. You open the journal, the new one. The blank pages are less blank now. Ink spreads slowly across the paper, like watching roots grow in fast forward. It reads, "The door opens from the other side. Wait for the chime." You sit still, think back. The guest book, the girl, the bell. A theory begins to take shape. Maybe Anna never left. Maybe the bell doesn't trap people, it replaces them. Maybe every time someone rings the bell, they trade places. You look down at the journal again. More words now. You took her place. He took yours. That's the way. A chill runs up your spine. You rush back upstairs. The attic is empty. No journals, no bell. Just the quiet hum of air that doesn't belong in old houses. You open the window. The man you saw earlier is gone. But across the street, George is standing on his porch, holding a flashlight scanning your house, like he's looking for something he can't name. You yell his name. He doesn't react. You wave, jump up and down, shine your phone light in his direction. Nothing. Then you notice your phone screen again. The date at the top, January 14th in 1912. Historians still argue whether time loops are folklore or physics. The idea that trauma can create a rift, a wrinkle in the fabric of a place is dismissed by some, embraced by others. But if your house is any proof, it's not the trauma that bends time. It's the intention behind it. Clara Vincent never wanted Anna to leave, so she made a way for her to stay. And now it's your turn to become the next page in the ledger. You find a mirror in the attic. It's old, warped, framed in dark wood. You look into it. Your reflection is faint, watery, but something stares back. A memory of you, a ghost of a ghost. You touch the glass, and just like that, it gives. Your hand passes through. It's cold on the other side, like stepping into lake water at night. Your dog barks behind you, desperate. You whisper an apology. You know he won't understand and pull your hand back. You don't go through, not yet, because you still don't know what happens when someone stays, and what happens to the people who don't. You spend the next 3 nights pacing, reading, watching the window. Sometimes you see faces, pale outlines, sometimes they wave. At 3:33 a.m. each night, the doorbell rings, just once. You don't answer. On the 4th night, it rings twice. You sit on the stairs, holding the journal, trying not to blink. Then the dog whines, walks to the door, scratches it. It swings open on its own, and standing there is a little girl. Not Anna, someone else. She holds out a book. You recognize the cover. It's the guest book. You reach for it. She says you forgot to sign. You hesitate. "Who are you?" you ask. She smiles sadly. The next one. You take the guest book, your hands trembling. She steps back, vanishing before your fingers touch the paper. Inside, a pen waits. You write your name. The moment you finish, your phone dings. A text, 1 word. Ready. You go back to the attic. The mirror is glowing now, just faintly. Not inviting, but inevitable. You place your hand on it again, and this time you go through. The world on the other side isn't dark. It's just quiet, soft, empty, but not alone. You feel a presence, not hostile, not kind, just watching, waiting. The chime rings again, but it's not for you. Someone else has moved in, and they just pressed the doorbell. You float. Not in the dreamy, meditative spa day sense. No, this is the heavy kind of floating, like your body has given up, but your mind hasn't gotten the memo. You're still in the house, but not in it. Like you're looking at it from just a few inches to the left of reality. You try to move, nothing happens. Try to speak, no sound, but you feel aware. Time doesn't pass normally here. Minutes stretch, hours shrink. You blink and it's night. Blink again and it's still night. The only thing that does change is the sound. The chime. Once, twice, then silence. Again, hours later, 3 times this time. You don't know who's ringing it or why, but it's not for you anymore. You're the wallpaper now, the furniture, the whisper behind the floorboard creak. You finally understand what Clara meant. The bell doesn't trap you, it keeps you. And once it has you, you're part of the house. Like Anna, like Clara, like the others whose names are etched in the guest book, now shelved somewhere in the wall behind the mirror. You wander in this ghost version of your home, observing the new tenant, a young man maybe early 30s, moving boxes into what used to be your living room. He's excited, optimistic, completely unaware that the attic breathes at night. You try to warn him. You push against the mirror. It doesn't budge. You yell, but only the dog hears, and now? He whines at the corner confused. Dogs always know. They just can't explain it. The man finds the bell on his second night. He laughs. Weird antique, he says to no one. You watch helplessly as he installs it back on the wall. The chime rings the next night at 3:33. He opens the door. Nothing. The second night it rings again. He glances out the window. Still nothing. But on the third night, he answers. You watch him go to the porch. You see his face change. Confusion morphing into unease. He doesn't see anything, but he feels it. The cold, the tension, the house noticing him. You've felt it too. You remember, back when you had skin, back when the attic was just storage and the bell was just decoration. Historians still argue whether residual hauntings are environmental recordings, just echoes trapped in wood and stone, or something more interactive. But watching this man flinch as the doorbell chimes again, without anyone touching it, you know it's not residual. The house is aware, and now it's watching him. That night he dreams of fire. You see it in the way he tosses and turns, in the ash smudge on his cheek the next morning. You didn't leave that there. He did, somehow, already merging. The dog refuses to go upstairs. Smart dog. By the end of the week, he finds the guest book. He thinks it's cool. He signs it. You scream inside the mirror, but there's no one left to hear you. Not even you. You're slipping, becoming the house. A draft in the hallway. The reason the light flickers at exactly 3:32. A breath on the neck just before sleep. And as you dissolve further, you realize this was always the plan. Clara didn't build a house. She built a cycle. You look up one final time. The mirror ripples. And you see someone else now. New eyes, another arrival. They're standing at the edge of the hallway, looking up at the attic door. The bell chimes just once, and from deep inside, what remains of you a voice echoes. It's your turn now. You are no longer surprised when the doorbell rings. It chimes like clockwork 3:33 a.m. without fail. Every night, a pulse, a heartbeat, a ritual. The new tenant whose name you eventually piece together as Evan is unraveling faster than you did. You wonder if it's because you weakened the cycle, or because he's resisting less. He doesn't search the history, doesn't dig into the archives or question the strange burn marks that appear on the guest bedroom wall. He simply starts seeing things like the girl in the mirror, the attic window swinging open at night, the face, always the face. You try to reach out, you really do. Once you focus all your will on the journal, the new one, you press every thought, every fear, every fragment of your fading consciousness into a single page, and somehow the ink bleeds through. Do not sign. But Evan reads it, frowns, and tears the page out. He thinks it's a prank. The next night you see him writing, and in the dim light of the hallway, the words Evan M. appear in bold strokes across the first page. He signs. The moment the pen lifts, the temperature drops. Your dog, well, his dog now growls and runs into the bathroom. You feel the house exhale. Not relief, not joy, anticipation. The attic door opens again, on its own. Evan goes up. You follow, or at least the part of you that still remembers how to follow. He finds the bell. Of course he does. It's never really hidden, just waiting. He touches it, hesitates, then rings it once. Time. And that's it. That's all it takes. The world around you tilts. The attic folds inward. The journals vanish like smoke, and Evan is gone. Not entirely, not physically, but you know the signs now. The slow bleed, the hollow stare, the sense that you're watching yourself in a dream someone else is dreaming. You whisper through the walls. You linger near the vents. You try so hard to hold on to your voice, but even now it's fading into creaks and hums and sighs from the floorboards. You've become atmospheric. Historians still argue whether possession is psychological or metaphysical, whether what's left of a person after death is just memory or something more persistent, like a soul, like you. You no longer feel time, not really. Days pass like shadows. Sometimes the house is empty, sometimes it's not. You learn the pattern. New tenant, chime, curiosity, guest book, attic, bell, repeat. Occasionally they fight it. They call psychics, burn sage, break mirrors. But the house always wins, because the house is not just wood and brick and sorrow. It's people. It's Clara, Anna, you, Evan, everyone who came before, everyone who will come after. They all ring the bell eventually. You are the bell now, or maybe the bell is you. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Another moving truck just pulled into the driveway. A woman steps out holding a box of books. Her daughter, small, laughing, unaware, runs through the front gate. You try to scream, but the house just sighs, and downstairs the brass doorbell pulses gently, waiting. So now as we ease out of the attic and back into your room, where hopefully no bells are ringing, you can relax your shoulders, loosen your jaw. Let your breath return to its own rhythm. You're not in that house, not yet, and the doorbell that just rang. Probably nothing. Could have been the wind, or a neighbor, or you know the pizza you forgot. You ordered 45 minutes ago. Take a slow breath in through your nose, and out through your mouth. It's just a story, or maybe it's a memory you haven't lived yet. Sometimes houses are just houses. Sometimes creaks are just old wood settling. But when the hour is strange, when the night bends a little too softly, it's okay to keep one eye open, just in case. Now let the last of this tale fade away, like footsteps down a hallway you never walked. Sleep finds you easily now. As the lights dim, the fan hums gently, and the shadows no longer whisper. Good night.